slope intercept form. This is something you should sure remember. It's y is equal to m times x plus b. It's always in this form. Now, the m represents what? The slope of the line. The b represents what? The y intercept of the line. So in true slope intercept form, what's not going to change? The y and the x, the things that are blue there, don't really change. Basically, the equation of a line, there's a number in here and there's a number in here, isn't there? Sometimes there's just a number here and this is assumed to be a 0. Every line except for the vertical line can be written in slope-intercept form. The reason a vertical line can is because the slope is what? Undefined. So there's no number we can put in here for m. So that kind of ruins the whole drill. Okay? Now, another one I want you to remember, point slope form. This one you won't remember as well. Y minus y1 is equal to m times parentheses x minus x1. Okay, how this one works. The x1 there is a point on the line. The y1 is what? Or the x1 and y1 is a point on the line. The x1 is, of course, the x-coordinate of that line, point, and the y1 is the y-coordinate of that point. And then m is the slope. To find the equation of the line, you're going to need these. What I am going to add to this, though, is the equation for a horizontal line, an equation for a vertical line. Equation for a horizontal line is y equal to some number. It's a horizontal line where the y-coordinates stay the same. And it's everywhere where y is equal to, I like to tell people to say, everywhere where y is equal to the number. Vertical line is always going to be in the form x equal to a number. And that's going to be everywhere where x is equal to that number. Now, what I've done here is just broken down the different types of forms for all these lines, the ones you need to know for this section. Make sure we have those written down. To write an equation in any of these forms, what do I need? I need to use any of these, I need the things that are in what? What color up there? I need to know what those numbers are. Hence why I wrote them in the colors. That's basically what you have to do. When they ask you to write the equation of a line of some picture or something like that, you need to know, you pick a form you're going to use, because any of them are right. Except, of course, if you don't have a horizontal line, you really can't use that one, can you? But you could use either one of the top two.
What?
Excuse me?
I don't know.
Oh.
You're saying what?
Oh, I didn't. I thought someone was asking me something. My bad. Now, can someone give me an example of something in slope-intercept form? Give me an example of an equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals 3x plus, huh? 6. Well, for that example, what's the slope? It's actually just 3. Common mistake made is they want to include that x, because it's right beside it, right? But it's actually just the what? Number in front of the x, right? What is your y-intercept? So it's going to be a line that intersects the y-axis at 6, positive 6. And from there, you guys remember how you do slope? When you write this slope, I would suggest writing it as a 3 over 1, because it means you go up 3 to the right 1. Give me another example of slope-intercept form. How about y is equal to 1/2 x minus 2? In this case, what is my slope? What's my y-intercept? Now look what's different here. Instead of a plus, it's a what? So you could think of this as plus a negative 2, couldn't you? Making your y-intercept to be what? Negative 2. Now, I'm going to write up here, everybody got this? I'm going to write here up on, I'm going to do number 1. I'm going to write them up here. Everybody know I'm referring to this worksheet now. So you can write your stuff on there. But I want to just write it a little bigger. Okay? Name the slope and y-intercept of the graph of each equation. Okay, number 1, y is equal to 3x plus 8. One thing that we haven't talked about. Is what we have to make sure is that before we can say what the slope and y-intercept, what do we have to make sure? That it's actually what? In slope-intercept form. And for it to be in slope-intercept form, in essence, you have to have y is equal to. And your y's are all on the left. Then whatever's in front of your x is your what? What do you think? What is it? And whatever by itself is what, Atsiri? Huh? Y-intercept. Okay. Now, so, in this case, is this in slope-intercept form? It is in the form y equal to, right? So now, what is my slope then going to be? What's my y-intercept? Huh? On your papers, do not write y equal to, because y is not equal to that. It's your, what's your y what? int is equal to. So we're done with this one. That one was easy, wasn't it? Number 2, 5x plus y is equal to 17. Is this in slope-intercept form? Okay, here's the thing. So how in the world do we, to find out what the slope and the y-intercept are, I've got to put it in slope-intercept form. So what I'm going to do is, if you guys will, you know, if you just looked at the left side of this equation, what am I basically solving for? I'm solving for y. So it's like a regular equation. I'm just going to get my y's on one side, everything else on the other. Here's my y term right here, right? Is it by itself? Is this in the form y equal to? What needs to not be here? If this 5x wasn't here, I'd be in the form y equal to, wouldn't I? So that's what I want. So how do I get rid of the 5x? I basically add the opposite or subtract 5x in this case. That gives me 0 over here, which would just leave me y, correct? What allows me to do that, though? I have to do the same thing on both sides. Now, when putting things in slope-intercept form, which term's usually first? The x term, right? So how should I probably write this? Just to keep me from making a mistake, negative 5x plus what?
17.
Are you wrong if you write 17 minus 5x? No. But you need to be careful that know that the number in front of the x is what? Your slope. Y-intercept. So, what is my slope here? Or negative 5 over a positive 1. And what is your y-intercept? Huh? 17. Number 3. This one's going to be even more fun. 3x minus 2y is equal to 8. What do I do here? I need to find the slope and y-intercept. So what do I need to do? It has to be in what form? Slope-intercept form. Is this equation in the form y is equal to? Please write down notes, everyone. It is in the form. So, how am I going to, so what do I need to do? I need to what? Solve for what? For y. I need to get this by, my y terms by itself. What am I going to do? Okay. If I do that to that side, I have to do the same thing to the other side. So what am I left with on the left side of this equation? Negative 2y is equal to what? Negative 3x plus what? Now, am I done? Is it in the form y equals to? No. See, the difference between this one and the last one, this one was nice. It was already in the form y. It already had a y by itself, didn't it? So that kind of cut out a step. But here I ended up with what? Negative 2y equal to. I don't want to know what negative 2 y's are equal to. I want to know what one of these y's are equal to. How do I make any number into 1? Divide by its what? Itself. What is it? What do I want to make into 1? This negative 2. So I divide it by itself. Now, here's one thing to remember for those of you that get confused when you have more than one term on the other side. Did I divide everything on the left side by negative 2? So what do I have to do on the right side? Divide, what word am I looking for? Everything, or every term on the right side by negative 2. So divide that by negative 2 and divide what? So negative divided by negative is a what? Now, we're talking about slope here, rise over run. Do I want to make this a decimal? So I should just leave it as what? 3 over 2x, and what does this become? Minus 4. Now I've got it in slope-intercept form, so what is my slope? What is my y-intercept? Are all of you just saying, gosh, I remember doing this, or something like that, right? 4 is 3y minus x is equal to 12. Is this in slope-intercept form? Yes or no? Is it in the form y equals 2? So I need to solve for y. What do I need? Get all my y terms by themselves. What's over there on the left side that I don't want there? So what do I add to it? Then what do I have to do over here? So what am I left with on the left side of this equation? Huh? No. 3y is equal to, you could say 12 plus x, or you could say what? Now, do I have what y is equal to yet? What do I need to do? I need to make this into a 1 by dividing by itself. If I divide the left side by 3, what do I have to do on the right side? Divide everything over here by 3. Now, when I write this, should I write this as x over 3? What's understood to be in front of this x? So this is actually what? 1/3 x plus, what's 12 divided by 3? Is that in slope-intercept form? So what is my slope? What is my y-intercept? I'll zoom out and let you write all these down. Let's go on to the next one. 5. Y is equal to 6. Okay, what should jump out at you here? There's not a what? There's not an x here. This should say to yourself, hey, something special about this equation, right? And then if you go and look at your notes, you see that what? Horizontal lines are in the form y equal to just a what? Number, and vertical lines are in the form what? X equal to just a what? Okay, what is the slope of a horizontal line? 0. What is the slope of a vertical line? So by just figuring out which one you have here, you know the slope, don't you? What's our slope here? Because this is what type of line? It kind of messes with people because when you see y, you actually think of the vertical axis. But if you think about it, everywhere where y is equal to 6 means go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then think about it. If you go up and down from there, is your y changing? Yeah, if you go down, it gets less. But really, what we're saying is everywhere where what? The height is what? 6 above the axis. That's y is equal to what? So our y-intercept here is what? 6. See how that's everywhere where y is equal to 6? You're everywhere 6 above? Because no matter where I am on this line, the y-coordinate's what? 6. Next one is x is equal to what? 2. What type of line is this? Well, the y is gone now, so I know it's one of those special ones, isn't it? Bring it back and eventually remember this. Which one is it? Vertical line. This is vertical. So I know my slope is what? Undefined. What's my y-intercept? Well, think about it. And if you need to, probably need to draw the picture at first. Think about it. Go to the right. 1, 2. Everywhere where your x-coordinate 2, wouldn't it be all the way up here? Aren't all these have an x-coordinate? All these dots have an x-coordinate of 2. So isn't that everywhere where x is equal to 2? Well, what is the y-intercept here? There isn't one, is there? Because this is parallel to the y-axis, right? It's never going to touch the y-axis, so there is what? There's none. There is no y-intercept here, is there? So you can see why it can't be written in slope-intercept form. The slope is undefined, there's no number for it, and there's no y-intercept, so it wouldn't make much sense to be able to write that in slope-intercept form, would it? However, this you can kind of think is in slope-intercept form. It's in the form y is equal to 0x plus 6, isn't it? What's 0 times x? Anybody? 0 times anything, 0, and 0 plus 6 is just what? quickly write those down, any of you that need to. Or would you rather me just put them up at the end and get on to the next problems? Go on to the next problems? Okay, and then I'll re-put those up there so you can write them down at the end. Okay, now they're going to want you to graph each one that's in slope-intercept form. To graph an equation, you need a slope and a point on the line. The slope here is what? Negative what? 1/2. What's the y-intercept? 3. Okay. I could do this because it was in the slope-intercept form. Now, important here, first thing is you're going to go to where it intersects the y-axis. It intersects it at what? So this is the y-axis. Up, 1, 2, 3. That right there is the point where it intersects, right? So I have one point on the line. However, how many different lines could I draw through this point right now? Answer me that. 1, 2. How many do you think you could draw? Could I draw one like this? Could I draw one like that? That. There's actually an infinite number of lines I could draw through that. So I can't draw this line yet. What tells me how a line's angled or shaped? It's what? The what? The slope. Isn't that tell you how it's sloped one way or the other? So what I can do, and this is negative 1/2, I probably need to think of it as a negative 1 over a what? Positive 2. I've got a point on the line, now I just need to see how it's angled. So I'm saying for every 1 you go down, that's a negative 1, right? You're going to go to the right, 1, 2. So then you make another dot. And guess what? Now I have 2 dots, so I know exactly how this is supposed to be what? So I expect you guys to draw the slope like I did and label it. And then say this is y equal to negative 1/2 x plus 3. When you do these. You zoom out and go right down here to 9. What's the difference here on 9? What's my y? My slope is what? 1/3. My y-intercept is what? 2. So what am I going to do? Go up 1, 2. So this is the point where it comes in here and it hits the y-axis. But to see how this line is shaped or angled, I have to use the what? Slope. And it says for every 1 I go up, I'm going to go a positive or to the right, 1, 2, 3. Then I make another dot, use my straight edge, which can be your book, and I connect the dots. I have now graphed y is equal to 1/3 x plus 2. Simple drill. This is what I want yours to look like. See how I've labeled the what? That, and how I labeled the line I wrote the equation of the line on the graph. This allows me to be able to look at that graph and see whether you're doing it right very quickly, very easily. Any questions on that? We'll do 11, 12, and 13, then we'll be done. Before we do that, we're going to go back to our notes. And before we do those, I want to kind of write down some, maybe a guideline to go by. Everybody ready? Okay. To find the equation of the line, of a line, and this is something that gives people problems. We're not going to get into really complicated issues here. That's why I put point slope form on there, so you could use it. To find the equation of the line, you need to have either the slope and the what? So you got to find a way to find those two things. Or you could have the slope and a what? A point on the line. Write that down so you have kind of guidelines to go by, so you know, okay, to find the, when they ask me to find the equation of the line, I either got to find these two things or I got to find these two things. It's that simple. Now, will they basically, in essence, be given to you in some way, shape, or form in the problem? Yes. But you do have to find one or the other. You have to find either the two things on the left or the two things on the right. Just out of curiosity, what form are you going to be using if you do the left? Slope-intercept form, aren't you? You'll plug it into what? Y is equal to mx plus b, right? For the one on the right, which one would be using? Point-slope form. So you'd be plugging into y minus y1 is equal to m times what? X minus what? X1. And you're always going to be plugging it in for the what? M and the b, or the y1, m, and x1. So when they say find the equation of the line, these are the things you're going to do. The only exception to this rule is if they say find the equation of this vertical line. Then you just need to find what x it is, and it's x equal to that number, right? Vertical line's either just going to be wherever it is on the x-axis. If you get done writing this down, try to start on number 11 and see if you can write the equation of the line. What's 11? Which one would you guys use? Huh? Which form? Huh? Point slope form. I would use 2 there. Method 2. Because what do they give you in the problem on number 11? The slope and a what? Point on the line. So if they give you that, plug the numbers in where they go. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to freeze it. So maybe I can start with this little 2. So they gave me the slope, which would be -2. And they gave me a point on the line, 2, -4. That's my what? X1 and what? So I'm going to plug it into point slope form. So I'm going to go y minus, what is my y1? -4 is equal to, what's my slope? -2 times parentheses, x minus, what is my x? 2. Is there any cleaning up I need to do here? Probably shouldn't have what? Minus a negative? So my answer should be y what? Plus 4 is equal to -2 times what? Have you written the equation of the line? Yes, you have. They didn't say you had to put it in slope-intercept form. And if they do ask you to put it in slope-intercept form, don't. This is good enough. All you got to do is multiply through and solve for y, don't you? And you could put it in slope-intercept form if you wanted to. Does everybody understand that? Zoom in a little bit more. Let's look at number 12. Well, number 12 is different. They don't really give me any 1, 2 things. They give me a what? a point on the line, which really this is your y-intercept, but if that confuses you, don't worry about it. They give you a point on the line, so they give you an x1, what? y1. The only thing you need to use point slope form is the what? What are you missing? What did they not give you here? They gave you a point, you just need the slope. Now, but they said it's parallel to this line. What do we know about parallel lines? Their slopes are what? Equal. So whatever the slope of this line is, that's the slope of our line. What is the slope of this line? No, it's not negative 5x, it's just what? Very good. So do I have what I need? So it's y minus, what? 2 is equal to, what's my slope? Negative 5 times x minus, what's my x? 0? I could clean this up and just say y minus 2 is equal to 5x, couldn't I? Because x minus 0 is x times, or it needs to be a negative 5x, does it not? There's my answer. Not so bad, is it? Number 13, what's the difference here? They, again, give you a what? Point on the line, do they not? But what do they not give you? They just say it's perpendicular to this graph. But what are they telling you? Are they telling you the slope in essence by saying it's perpendicular to this graph? How do perpendicular slopes relate? They are opposite sign, but they're also what of each other? They're negative reciprocals. Perpendicular lines. Negative reciprocals of each other. Now what does that mean? Negative means to what? Change the sign. So what's the slope of this line? So what's the slope of our line? Negative, right? And if this is 2 over 1, when I flip it, this is what? So I changed the sign and I flipped it. So the slope of our line must be what? Because they said they are what? So now it's just a matter of plugging it into the equation, is it not? So it'd be y minus a negative 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times what's x? It'd be x minus 10. Cleaning this up, my answer would be y plus 1 is equal to negative 1/2 times x minus 10. Correct? Any questions there? I know this was a lot